I'm here with Dr. Sandra Parker, just exploring the whole challenge of the pandemic right now for people. One theme that's come up a lot over the last several months is the disconnection people are feeling from their loved ones and their family. In particular, this is heightened during the holiday season. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are of ways that people can better cope with the stress of the distancing that they're being asked to do.
Disconnection during COVID is a real thing. We've been put in, I know the word's overused, unprecedented, but it is the right word, unprecedented situation here. Not being able to be in the same room with people we love, not being able to hug them, not being able to physically be close to them. We're animals, we're social animals. And this is tremendously stressful for us. And it's painful. We're wired to move against pain. We're wired to push back and to disconnect from the pain inside of ourselves. So what I'd like to address right now is, yes, we have this disconnection from others, but the thing that's creating suffering for people is that we then disconnect from what that feels like inside of ourselves. And some people might say, well, I don't disconnect at all. I fret and I worry and I feel like crap and I feel hopeless and I have despair and I tell myself I can't manage. So what I want to say is that that's still disconnecting, because what's happening is we're in this awful situation and then we tell an awful story about it. But we're in this awful situation, and what we need to do is have an experience of the awful. I get that this is a hard sell, but I'm saying to you that the pain inside of you of this loss, and it is a loss, this is a loss, this is a real loss, to not be able to hug people you love is awful. To not be able to be in a room with people over Christmas, to have to look at a screen and pretend that that's the same as being in the same room, to look at a screen, to look at a camera and pretend that that's eye contact, when of course it's not. These are losses, and the appropriate feeling for losses is grief. This is a time of deep grief, and grief is painful. And pain evokes sympathetic nervous system activation. What that means is your sympathetic nervous system goes on alert. We brace, we hold our breath, our shoulders go up, we push back, and we resist feeling the feeling. And we try and push through, and we come up with solutions, and thank goodness we do all of that. But in the midst of it all, there's somebody gets forgotten here, and that's you on the inside. We need to slow down enough to feel the grief of the disconnection with others, so that we're not disconnecting from ourselves. There's the loss of my disconnection from you, but when I resist that, there's the suffering of my disconnection from myself. And now I'm going to have to get drunk or eat too much or get too busy or numb myself with too many Netflix series. I'm going to have to do something to move away from me. That's where the real problem comes. I go into movies and stories and what if, and maybe I start to catastrophize about my own getting of the disease or someone else that I know. I become paranoid and overly concerned rather than just appropriately careful about wearing my mask and social distancing. I'm now hypervigilant, unable to sleep, unable to relax, unable to rest. None of that, by the way, is helping my immune system, which I really want to be supporting during this time. So this issue of disconnection is kind of twofold. There's my disconnection from the people I love, which is sad. There's the disconnection from myself in the sadness, which is the suffering. And so in practical terms, what that means is we need to be able to tune into that bracing in our body that's saying that the sadness I'm feeling is a saber-toothed tiger. And I need to be able to feel my shoulders up and my feet pulling off the floor and this fidgety, agitated buzzing in my body. And I need to breathe into that and feel it with so much precision that my body registers my presence and lets go a little bit. And in that moment, I can drop down and feel what's really true for me, which is I'm really sad that I can't be with the people I love right now. And as awful as that feels, there's a still point at the end of that sadness where I can come to terms. And that's what we need right now. We need to come to terms with the reality of this pandemic. We need to come to terms with the reality that we are in this very, very, very sad place. after that, I'm able to feel the gratitude that I can at least see you on a screen. I can feel the gratitude that I can feel you in my heart, even if I can't hold you in my arms. And that's something.
And what do you suggest that people could do to help those in their lives that are feeling really disconnected, that are really struggling on a day-to-day? Because I hear from different people, there's different experiences. Some people are feeling connected, although they can't see one another, but others are really, really struggling and trying to help those who the disconnection is so hard.
So would you say that the disconnection that's hard, is it that there's some story that they're telling, that something that they're going to lose that relationship, or that they're unable to cope without it? I'm wondering what's...
What I'm hearing is just a real sense of loneliness, all those markers of what they would have done in the past. They might have had, on Monday night, some kind of social night, on Sunday, some kind of family dinner. So those markers that mark sort of time during the week, they've been taken away. So now they're left with more time alone. And that's really hard for them. So I'm just wondering for people in your life that may really be struggling with that change in their schedule and their relationships, are there things that people can do to support friends and family who are going through that?
Well, I wonder if what we're talking about is if we know that there's someone in our circle, especially folks that don't have family in their households, people who are living alone, people who don't have that bubble everyone talks about, that they are the only person in their bubble. I think we need to be willing to hear how hard that is. I think we also need to be willing to interrupt any kind of story that they're telling themselves that takes that from sorrow into catastrophic fear. I feel like there's this line that can happen where we begin by talking about how much it hurts, but we can't stay there very long because our own unrest comes up in our body, and we start going into this sort of these worry stories about how things will never be right, or things are going to get worse, or I won't be able to cope, I'm going to fall apart, I don't know how I'm going to be able to manage. But these are all predictions. I'm not really telling you what it's actually like. And my invitation, if I'm on the other end of the phone, well, that's so old school, but however we're communicating, if I'm across from you, would be to invite you to just come back to this moment. I'm right with you right now. What tell me the worst of it. I want to know the worst of it. You can tell me right now. Like, don't go into a future thing, but just right now. What's the hardest thing right now? And to be willing in my heart to bear that, to not make it better, to not problem solve, to not fix it, but to really bear witness, because in that moment we will be connecting. As disconnecting as everything is, that's the connection. If I'll meet you where you are, if you can feel what you're feeling and I'm open to feeling it with you, we have connected. It's the stories that disconnect us. And if I run off with you into the stories about what if and woulda, shoulda, coulda, we've both disconnected from reality, from the moment, and from each other.
So really you're saying is to help another person, it's just helping them stay in the moment and be able to share how they're feeling and how hard it is, and gently kind of reorient them back to not kind of making up a story or going down a different path to kind of keep them in the present.
That's lovely. Like, nudge them back into their body a bit. Of course, to be able to do that, you got to be pretty grounded in your own body. So, take a breath. So you can be, it's the old put the oxygen mask on you before you put it on the other person.
Well, that kind of makes me think of something else of before you kind of maybe talk to someone, if you're getting tired yourself of just, it's COVID's very stressful. So you're kind of tired and you're also feeling the strain of communicating over Zoom or texting some video chat platform. Are there things that if you're about to interact with someone who has been really struggling, are there things that you should do just before you kind of engage with them?
Oh, that's delicious. Yeah, like jump up and down, do some jumping jacks and some burpees. Get some blood flowing in your body. We've all been sitting on our bottoms too much. Move around, feel your body. Then slow down for just a moment. Because connecting inside, we're not really wired to do that. Our eyeballs, if only they swiveled inward, we'd be in a lot better shape. But they only go out. So we're always looking outward for the answers to our questions, for solutions, for where reality is. But there's this whole inner experience that if we pay attention to it, we can ground, we can connect, we can get access to resources, and we can be more resourceful for the people we love. So number one, move the body, get some blood flowing, which I'm saying this because I need to hear it. I'm sitting far too much and looking at screens far too much. So, move your body, get something going, and then be still and go in and say hello to your own body. Say hello to your own sympathetic nervous system. That's, I like to say your nervous system is nervous, right? It actually would like a little attention. Soothe yourself and then reach out to this person that you love who's having a harder time and who needs to feel that there's an anchor across the airwaves, another human who's willing to bear how hard it is, who has the capacity to stay with them and not fix it.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful for these times of COVID, where it looks like we're in it for a few more months here. So thank you so much, Dr. Parker.
Thank you.